for one, would like to go to theatres and scream my lungs out when the hero enters.
The character was moving in the kitchen and we could like feel ourselves getting frustrated in the kitchen. So it's nothing but like a very normal kitchen scene in an Indian kitchen.
So that you have high budget, you can't just bring some random actors and some storyline. It doesn't work like that. Our audience that very smart. They know what the storyline, which is good and which is bad.
Is there still space for indie films in the theatres, or will the streaming platforms dominate their distribution?
Indie films, if done with proper artistic values and great performances, it can blow up anytime. Because RRR took 5 years, Bahubali took more than 10 years, so we don't know when it's going to release. Maybe because of the pressure they're facing from the audience and from within themselves.
What a normal person cannot do in the real life are shown doing that by the hero. So we feel ourselves that we are doing it.
In Focus, episode 5, action.
Hello, this is Tejashwi Khaitan and I welcome you in the 5th episode of In Focus, where today we delve into the fascinating world of cinema through the debate Students' Lenses, Blockbusters versus Indie Films, where each panelist will be offering their unique experiences and values on the topic. On one side, we have the epic action-packed spectacles that have dominated the box office for years. With their massive budgets and star-studded casts, these films offer visual extravaganzas and thrilling narratives. But on the other side, there's the intimate, character-driven world of indie films. Made with limited resources and often featuring new artists, these films offer a unique perspective and often explore more unconventional themes. Joining me today are a panel of aspiring film students. Spurti Menda, Megha M. Nadek, Abhirami Guru Shankar and Medha Sarkar, who will share their insights and perspectives discussing the merits and challenges of both high-budget blockbusters and the low-budget indie films, exploring the impact they have on the global cinema industry and the future of cinema. With this, we head towards the first segment of today's episode, the spectacle versus the story. So let's hear from our panelists what do have they on their thought. Do high-budget blockbusters rely too much on spectacle, or is there room for storytelling in big production?
Absolutely, there is a significant room for storytelling in big budget films. While it's true that many big budget films focus on the spectacle and think of the stunning visuals or epic soundtracks, it's also the storytelling is what drives the movie. That is what brings the audience to the theaters. And high budget movies, we also have advantages for top tier productions, huge casting opportunities, and also higher advanced technology. And for example, I would like to talk about Avatar and Dune. Even though their vast budgets helped them create immersive backgrounds and story, and they created their own universe, but yet they don't fail to connect on an emotional level. Coming to Indian cinema, I would like to talk about Bahubali and Lagan. For coming to Bahubali, it did not fail on any emotional aspect, even though it's huge in storytelling and epic soundtracks, like I said, and immense graphics, but it did not fail in storytelling. Same with Lagan. While with its impressive production values, its core story revolves around the struggle, unity, and resilience against the colonial oppression. The cricket match in the movie especially serves as a dramatic and engaging spectacle, with its core value being the storytelling. I think when executed well, storytelling and big spectacles can coexist beautifully when executed well.
Yes, I completely agree with her. It is because of the storyline or the story, it is spectacle. Because of the story, it creates the visual appeal. The story demands that kind of visual grandeur for the films. That's why the storyline here is more important, and to convey that story, the visual appeal comes here. For example, let's say KGF. KGF, for the trailer or for the audience to first know about it, first thing they said was the visual is amazing. But when we got into the film, it's the core emotion, that is mother and son. It's the storyline which made the KGF so huge success.
That's a really good point. And so, what do you think? Do indie films have more creative freedom, or do budget constraints limit their potential?
In my opinion, yes. When it comes to indie films, the director, since budget is an issue, the main focus has to lie on storytelling. For example, in Bollywood movies, Kahani is the greatest example when it comes to indie films. So, in my opinion, I think since the director did not have much, budget, he put on a really, really good story towards it. Where Vidya Balan, she faked her pregnancy to know that who is the culprit behind her husband getting killed or murdered. She wanted to find out the real reason, and that was like in the whole movie it really made us feel like okay, there was a suspense behind it. And then we also learned that she was actually not pregnant, like after that we found out. And then we all waited for the second part. So that is what indie film does to an audience. Like it creates an excitement, it creates a kind of suspense, and then it also gives us the thirst to wait for the second part.
Okay, so as she said, indie film directors have much lesser space to work. But then what I feel is less is more. So when we are given this, creativity sparks. So to give examples, there's this Malayalam movie, Thondi Mudalam Drikshasham. It's a very, very simple plot. A thief who's doing a theft in the bus. But then it created more creativity. It's because he's given very less space. It brought out authentic storytelling, and there were raw human emotions. So when we come to Kaka Muttai, that is a Tamil movie, instead of casting professional actors, they took real people from slum area because it was a low budget movie, and they did not put up a fancy slum set. Instead, they took it in real environment. So I think budget constraints do have a positive impact as well when it comes to creativity.
Indeed, the key is to balance the spectacle of the story and the best that it could bring out from a film. Moving on to our next point of discussion, financing and artistic control. Big budget movies need a lot of financial support from the production houses, and hence it can restrict the filmmaker's creativity in order to satisfy the producer's demands, while also catering to a larger audience. So do you think this really stifles creativity, or does it open new possibilities?
I think that it brings in the creativity because there is more budget. The director, we know that he is the creative head, so he can bring in a lot of ideas and he can make it possible. Whatever the vision he has, it can come true because of the budget and all of the things. And with the budget comes the technical advancement. But there is also a catch here. Because the director has so much budget and all that, the main intention is to get the income back. So he does have a lot of pressure on himself. So what happens here is he wants to appeal the mass audience. So he may risk to stick to the formulas, that is like adding the intro, having more number of fights, which might be sometimes unnecessary for the storyline. So I feel like when we think about the high budget movies, only few of us come to our mind. That is because of its creativity. Even though there is a more option for creativity, but still few directors will not be able to take the risk. So they do stick to the formulas.
And as she rightly said, big budgets can both challenge and enhance the filmmaking in big budget movies. And as she said, we have the directors, the production houses, they have this pressure on them to bring back whatever they're investing. And for that, they might create new formulas that, like she said, the intro and everything. They try to add more commercial plot to the movie, and with the storyline being very strong. And I would like to take Mad Max Fury Road as an example. It has a substantial budget to create an entire universe, but then it did not lose on its emotional core value, that is the art of survival. And with the high budget, we also have advantages, like we can use advanced technology and higher top tier casting, and which attracts the audience to the theaters.
This was really interesting to know. Now, coming to indie movies that is funded on a smaller budget or by independent production houses, they have more flexibility and artistic control. The indie filmmakers can experiment with different storylines and styles without worrying about pleasing a big audience. But budget constraints can bring its exchanges as well. So, how do low budget films handle production challenges with fewer resources?
I think just because the budget is really less, or we have like a, like minimal budget when it comes to making an indie film, the audience or the people in general, they have a certain expectation towards the movie. They think that, I'm not like generalizing, but people have this notion that since it's a low budget film, the aesthetics might not match, the visuals might not come out as we are expecting. But that is, I think, as audience where we go wrong. We expect, I can give you the greatest of all times example, which is Pother Pachali by Satyajit Ray. He had got zero. We legit have expectations from this man, and he created all the low budget films back in the, I guess, 90s, 80s, and the storyline which he made there, Oppu and Durga, which is still an emotion to us, the brother and sister bond. So he is an example that you can have low budget and you can have the aesthetics and you can have the correct storyline. So I mean, he was once upon a time was a low budget director, but then he came out to be a high budget. So I guess where we go wrong is like the expectations, because aesthetics can come out visually very nice if the creativity and the storyline is put up in the correct form of notion. So yeah, that's my opinion.
So as Medha said, it's right. So when it comes to low budget, they've given like a very little space, and I think they are beautifully using it. The resources are beautifully using it, because when you see in this movie Great Indian Kitchen, it was a very low budget movie. All they had was like a home situation, but then the character was moving in the kitchen, and we could like feel ourselves getting frustrated in the kitchen. So it's nothing but like a very normal kitchen scene in an Indian kitchen. So I think the resources are well managed. And when you come to Visaranai, that is a Tamil movie, it's like completely different. It's a raw documentary film. They show the brutal reality of police department. So they did not put up sets, they did not put up very big extravagant things. Instead, they showed the reality. So I think when it comes to resources, it's beautifully managed. It depends upon the director and his vision and his creativity.
Very well spoken. Do you think high budget movies are made only for profit, or can they still serve as an artistic endeavors?
It can still serve as an artistic endeavors, even though it is undeniable fact that high budget movies are made for the box office income. But then a movie is successful only when there is some artistic or creativity. You can't just, so that you have high budget, you can't just bring some random actors and some storyline. It doesn't work that way. Our audience, they're very smart. They know what is storyline, which is good and which is bad. And they have become choosy. So they have to be artistic. For example, Avatar. It's such a high budget movie. But Avatar is popular because of its artistic thing. And now again, yeah, Avatar and Ega. I want to say Ega's example. Because Ega, because of its artistic thing, it is popular. The hero of the film is that Van Houseplant. So I think the artistic really wins the mark.
I have even watched this Makki movie and I
Yes.
loved the movie, absolutely. Now, hearing from you, Abhirami, what are your takes?
So as she said, it's right. So when we are seeing from a big budget movie, it does have artistic vision because Vikram, the recently released movie, they did not put their whole budget into actions and car explosions and everything. Instead, they gave each character a depth, a narrative, and then they made a universe out of it. And then each scene had so many details filled in it, and they used the budget in a proper way. So when you see this other movie, Ponniyin Selvan, they created a novel, a beloved novel that is like a very big thing, and then they did some opinions are there, they did not give justice, but then they used it to the maximum. Their potential, they used it completely. So let it be the battle scenes, let it be the costumes and everything. People were immersed into it, and even now it's in OTT platform. People are watching it, and there are newer audiences who didn't even read the novel. They want to watch it because it's something epic. So I think, yeah, budget does have an artistic vision, budget movies.
So we can say that high budget movies can serve as an artistic
Yes.
endeavors. So moving to the next question, which is, let's talk about the audience engagement and distribution. They are the driving force behind a film's success. Their reactions, preferences, and patronage ultimately determines a film's success. So let's explore whether the audience prefers the spectacles of blockbusters or the intimacy of the indie films. Let's hear from our panelists.
So, of course, the audience, like, I can't deny the fact the greatest movies like Rockstar, Jab We Met, then Sanjay Bansali Productions, we can't like deny the fact that they have great visuals, great creativity, great cinematography. But like, I am really like no one to put a differences here. But cinema, it's a very subjective topic. It depends from perspective to perspective. For a person like me, I would prefer more of storyline, more of like considering the fact high budget movie Rockstar. Like these movies are like they have like given us so much to us that these movies are giving comebacks. Like they are again releasing in theaters. People are going and watching it. I myself, I have went and like I have watched it. But like movies, then again when it comes to Lapata Ladies, so something like that, and experiencing womanhood, very lower class women, they are finding themselves. They are understanding that no, I don't want this to have a voice, and that also considering the fact that it's a low budget movie, it screams creativity. So yeah, again, cinema is again a very subjective topic. People might, go for VFX, action, thriller, which has a lot of, colors and visuals and a lot of those technical stuffs which I don't know about. But then, then this comes again on a lower budget, then where the storyline speaks. So yeah. That's what.
Lapata Ladies is also one of my favorite movies.
Paranormal Activities, for example, it has made comebacks after comebacks. I didn't have the idea that it was a low budget film, but then I experienced that it was a low budget film. That also making horror a low budget, it's really like a wow factor.
That's really nice to hear.
Yeah. Like she rightly said, audience's preference can change widely. But both spectacle and intimacy have their own unique appeal. I, for one, would like to go to theaters and scream my lungs out when the hero enters. I mean, I'm coming from Tollywood, by the way. That says a lot about what kind of movies that I would be interested in. But we always grew up watching those kind of movies where we scream our lungs out and we dance. For example, Natu Natu. Yeah, Chuttamalle from Devara. People have gone to the theaters just to dance, just to vibe with the music, and there's a specific part in the song which people scream their lungs out for. And another example would be Natu Natu from RRR. People have gone specifically to make reels, and I think that's the kind of joy that big budget films bring to the audience, and it's just an escape from our reality. People who wouldn't want to watch what is happening in their daily lives, maybe they wouldn't want to watch again on the screen. Maybe they just want to escape from the real life for a while and then just enter another larger than life narrative. But then again, like Medha rightly said, intimacy and indie films are also very important. Maybe they focus on excellent performances and excellent storyline, but then I think cinema is meant to be celebrated at the end of the day, and I think the joy it brings to the audience, that's I think audience prefer both indie films and big budget films based on their mood. I think I for one would scream and dance in a theater and then come back to my home, watch a simple movie just to get my mind in peace. So it depends on the audience's mood and preference. So
Indeed, this question was really interactive. Moving on, in recent years, we have seen a shift in film industry with the rise of streaming platforms offering viewers a vast variety of films from around the world and growing demand for diverse and original content. How do you think streaming has affected the success of both the mentioned categories?
I think streaming has affected both big budget films and indie films. Indie films because they have an opportunity to showcase their talent, and big budget films because they can maintain the momentum. For example, Devara was released recently, and right when the talk about Devara is going down, again Netflix has put up a post recently saying it's releasing on November 8th. Now again memes have started, and once it releases in an OTT platform, again memes and discussions and everything. And I would like to talk about a movie called Gehraiya, which is starring Deepika Padukone, and it was directly released in OTT platforms. And it is a big budget movie, but then it created a stir in social media. People have started taking sides for each film, and yeah, that's what a filmmaker needs at the end of the day. And the other example would be The Irishman. When it was released on Netflix, it had an opportunity to reach vast audience. And recently there's of course we all know Pushpa, and Pushpa 2, without even releasing, it already made a profit of, not a profit, or already collected almost 1,000 crores without even releasing. That is a huge deal for a filmmaker and a production house. So just because of social media and streaming platforms and just the theatrical rights and the OTT rights, it has already collected over 1,000 crores, and it is a huge deal. So streaming has affected both big budget films and indie films.
So let's hear from you, Abhirami. What are your takes on this?
Yeah, so as Purti rightly said, streaming platform, it's changed how we see movies.
Correct.
So she said that it's more like a sustenance thing. After the theater thing, we have the sustenance thing where people like to remember that a movie like this has been made. But in theater, it's mostly like maybe a week or 2 weeks. But then it's also mostly based on the fact that how people discover films now. Initially, it would be like a very brief theatrical release, but now people go and watch it over and over again. They won't choose to go and watch it in theater, but then you will choose to watch a movie 20 times again and again if you like that movie. And I think a very important fact here is that I've seen Malayalam movies, but then people don't choose to go and watch it in theaters. I don't know why, but then whenever you go sit in a movie, maybe a Sunday afternoon or something, you choose to watch it again and again in OTT platforms. So I think it gives a comfort, and then it gives like a very intimate feel. So let it be a big budget film or indie film. I think they've gotten both of them have gotten the quality thing. People recognize quality movies now, and I think OTT has brought out a very bigger impact in this.
This was really interesting. Thank you.
Can I add something?
Yeah,
to that?
sure.
Yeah. She rightly said, but then I would like to take an example of the Oscars 2023. From India, two of the greatest artworks have brought Oscars for us, and that is Natu Natu from RRR, and the other one is The Elephant Whisperer. So I think both of them got what it deserved because of the way it was released and ways it was portrayed. For example, if we just switch RRR to OTT platforms and Elephant Whisperers to theaters, I don't think it would have gotten
that impact. Right, correct.
It's the joy and it's the fun that made Natu Natu what it is, and Elephant Whisperers coming from a low budget documentary, and it deserved an Oscar for sure. But then maybe if it was released in theaters, people wouldn't have noticed it as much. It's the streaming platform that made it what it is today. Yeah.
Thank you, Spurti. This was a really great example. Moving on, the indie films often rely on film festivals, word of mouth, and online platforms to reach their target audience. Whereas blockbusters, on the other hand, have advantage of massive marketing campaigns and wide theatrical releases, making them more accessible to larger audiences. Is there still space for indie films in the theaters, or will the streaming platforms dominate their distribution? Can we hear from you first?
Yeah. So as you have said, word of mouth, that is a very powerful tool, because long back there was this movie called Premam. It was in Malayalam, and it we just thought, because the actors were new, and then Sai Pallavi was introduced in that, and then she played like a very brief role. But then it got huge because of word of mouth. Back then we did not have Instagram, or we did not have this craze for social media. But then it got out, and it was an indie film. It was not a big budget blockbuster movie. It did get more recognition, but then it started out as an indie movie, and then we got an amazing star because of that. So I think it was because of word of mouth. Back then, if people wouldn't have recognized such an amazing talent, we wouldn't have had Sai Pallavi now. So I think, yeah, word of mouth does play a very important role.
Thank you, Abhirami. Megha, what are your takes on this?
I feel for the indie films, it is the word of mouth and the film festivals. Because of the word of mouth, when you hear it from your friend, this is such a great movie, let's watch it together. That's when we, see the movie, we start analyzing, we start talking about it, we share it with other friends. And I had been a part of BIFF's 2024. And for the indie films, I saw like huge crowds, like people were standing from the entrance to the exit because of the word of mouth, because of the excellence. So I feel like, and theatrical releases, now people are judging a movie just within 3 days. And the screenings, all this comes down. Friday it gets released, Saturday, Sunday it's decided. This is a flop or something. So indie films, majorly, they really need the word of mouth for their marketing strategies. So I completely agree with that.
Definitely, very rightly mentioned. Without any doubt, streaming platforms are becoming more popular and have created opportunities for indie films to thrive, catering to a wider audiences and challenging the dominance of high-budget films. Indie films offer more creative freedom but face budget constraints, while high-budget films have a higher budget but may be constrained by the studio's demands. As we approach towards the end of today's session of discussion, let's wrap up the final thoughts from our panelists. What do they think the future holds for indie films and the blockbuster films? And will they continue to coexist, or will one of them dominate over the other?
I think big budget films will continue to dominate the box office and cinematic landscape in general, because it's what brings the audience to the theaters and it creates more buzz comparatively. And I think indie films, if done with proper artistic values and great performances, it can blow up anytime. I genuinely feel like that, and I would like to take the example from the Cannes International. I'm sorry, I forgot the name, and it's all a woman film. The artists and everybody are women, and it recently got recognition in Cannes International Film Festival. So it can, and it was not even released in India so far. It was just for that film festival, and maybe if we had watched. So that's the thing. It's already blown up, and when it gets released in India, we will watch it. We will watch it, and we will appreciate it. And it's always there. Indie films, maybe larger than life narratives. Maybe after a while, the producer and the director, they also have this pressure in their minds to maybe the next film, maybe they try to match whatever they made. Now, for example, Rajamouli sir, I think the next film with Mahesh Babu, we don't know when it's going to release, because RRR took 5 years, Bahubali took more than 10 years, so we don't know when it's going to release. Maybe because of the pressure they're facing from the audience and from within themselves. So they try to match them But then there are movies like Eager and Maryada Ramanna from very under. Maryada Ramanna is a movie by Balajamouli and he made it after the Magadira. Magadira was a huge hit. It was a huge box office and to take a risk like that, to direct Maryada Ramana after a movie like Magadira, not many directors can do that. And even if they try to do, they might fail. For example, Puri Jagannath. He was a huge deal in Telugu industry, but he tried to make it larger than life and maybe big budget by creating a movie called Liger. And we all know how that went. So he might have lost his edge. Now everybody's like, maybe he should stop movies, and but deep down, all the Telugu audience know what he is capable of. So yeah, that.
So I would like to place an opinion there. Again, not putting down higher budget, lower budget, something like that. The thing is, in my opinion, again, cinema is a very subjective topic. Art is different. Whatever I find in art, somebody might not find art in that. Whatever I find aesthetics are different for everyone. There was this one film which we all know, Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. It is a very high budget movie. Right after Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, like 4 or 5 years down the line, Priyanka Chopra, Katrina Kaif and Alia Bhatt, three of them decided to launch Ji Le Zara. And that did not get launched for whatsoever. Budget might be a factor, might not be a factor, we don't know the reason. But then I didn't myself expect that Lapata Ladies would be a lower budget movie. Movies like higher budget movies like Rockstar, Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, Jab We Met. These movies are making come. I don't have much ideas about Telugu and Malayalam industry, so I would speak about Bollywood. These movies are making comebacks, higher budget movies. I am sure 10 years down the line, Lapata Ladies will make the comeback as well. Because there are certain movies, let it be higher budget or lower budget, it stays in the heart of the audience and they would crave it. So like when I would be like 35 years old, I never know that, Lapata Ladies would get launched and I will go to the theaters and watch it. Because again, there was this streaming platform question was there, and since life is so busy right now, we all have college and internships, so I didn't myself get the opportunity to go to the theaters and watch Lapata Ladies. I never know, like after 10 years I might go and I would want to get that feel. So creative, then Pather Pachali. Then we have directors Kaushik Ganguly. He's a Bengali director and he makes lower budget movies, and it like one after the other, everything becomes hit after the other. So we don't know that who is going to dominating who. But one thing I really know that cinema, it can't compete because genres are different, songs are different, themes are different, aesthetics are different. We can compare something like Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara with Dil Chahta Hai. But we cannot compare like higher budget or lower budget. We can compare storylines. But saying that this thing might pause the other, we never know that a lower budget director might be a higher budget director tomorrow. So let's just not make any assumptions and let's see what art brings us tomorrow.
A very nice point.
Can
Abhiram,
I add something to that?
So sure.
Yeah. So, and I think big budget movies, when it gets released, I think they will be remembered for a longer period of time than indie films. Like she said, Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham, I would like to take that. Karan Johar, obviously, he makes big budget movies, and I think they will be remembered for a very, very, very long time. I don't think that's the case with indie films. Maybe they might remember, but the audience are very fewer comparatively. And for example, Bahubali, people will be remembering that for generations. But also, I'm not saying it's always the case. For example, Adipurush. It was made with over 700 crores, but it was a huge disaster in the box office. And Animal, for whatever reasons, they will remember the movie. Maybe the director, that's what he wanted, to create a controversy, to create a stir in society, and that will be remembered for a very long time. And I don't think that is the case with indie films. And people will talk about it for generations. Like even the old movies of particularly Telugu industry, there's this movie called Maya Bazaar. It was one of the first color movies, and it was a huge budget movie back in the day, and people still talk about it. That is like the benchmark for everything, for every movie that's coming. So I think, yeah, big budget movies will be remembered for a very, very long time, and I don't think that's the case with indie films.
But again, with the growing social media, people are going to remember things, people are going to post it, people are going to talk about it. I think that the point which you were putting, Spurti, it maybe can happen when, I guess, internet was not there, or maybe 10 years back the line, people would not remember indie films. But then let's not forget artist directors like Satyajit Ray.
Yeah.
So like, the big budget films, like I loved Tamasha, but for some reason a lot of people found
Did
it
not like
boring.
it.
Lower budget film, Ranbir Kapoor, one of the greatest actors in Bollywood. He has done bigger budget films like Animal, Brahmastra, Jab We Met, Rockstar. Then again, cut to he released Jagga Jasoos. Then Jolly LLB. People do talk about lower budget, higher budget films. I think it's the movie which people talks about. It's like when an audience is seeing a movie going to a theater. I didn't know that Lapata Ladies would be a lower budget film. I got to know like 3 days back. So I was like, okay, that's a lower budget film. People don't think in that way it's lower budget, higher budget. People talk about the movies,
Their experience.
their experiences. I guess experience matter more than, lower budget and higher budget, because normal general people, they don't go to the cinema and keep in mind that okay, this movie has this much crores and this movie has that
Definitely.
much.
Half of them don't even know the
Remember,
budget.
Yeah.
Abhirami, do you want to add on
So
to
as
it?
both of these people said, I think I have come to a point where the line between indie movies and big budget movies, it's blurring, because we can see young filmmakers bringing in artistic vision into high budget movies, and we can see people, indie movie directors, making it a big budget movies. We can see that, and I'm not telling it still has a long way to go, and I think as audience, I think they still have a long way to go. The industry is just booming. Like indie movie, it's just starting, and people, I think they have somewhere recognized and somewhere accepted that okay, because back in time, if you see 30-40 years back, it has not gotten much recognition. And she said that big budget movies, people are going to remember much than, because it has a history, because that's how people are used to. Now people are getting used to these new things, and people are like welcoming it and
They're
they're
loving it
accepting it.
also.
Yeah.
Let's
So
just consider indie films as newbies in the industry. Just like
Yeah.
Alia Bhatt was in Student of the Year, and now look at her. It's just transaction,
Oh,
just
Jigra, for that
transformation.
matter.
exactly, Jigra, she has
Yeah.
done a very good job in Jigra.
Recently, it got released.
Yes. So yeah, I think that is the point here, and maybe as she said, social media, yeah, that has bringing out like a lot of buzz and everything. But yeah, right now it's booming, and then people are trying to accept it. So and I think people still remember, because Great Indian Kitchen. When I said Great Indian Kitchen, I think that people here know it. Because and it still has that impact. When I say Great Indian Kitchen, I can feel the frustration in the
Yes.
kitchen.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's been what years since I've watched it. So yeah, I think it's just starting. It's not up to the level of big budget movie, but then I think in the future it might be equal. It might be equal, because audience will be welcoming it. Yeah.
Very well put, Abhirami, I must say. Now hearing from you, Megha.
Yes, see, basically we go to movies, sit in the theatre just to escape the real life. We are all stressed in this generation or this era, so we just want to escape. And movies, especially the high budget movies, they are done on the larger than life scales. What a normal person cannot do in the real life are shown doing that by the hero. So we feel ourselves that we are doing it. For example, let's say KGF. Rocky goes to the parliament and he literally shoots the other politician in front of the prime minister. That is definitely not possible in real life.
Insane.
But, yeah, insane. But we are so pumped up. We'll be like, yes, go Rocky, because we feel ourselves. We look at Rocky in ourselves. That is why big budget films, they are it makes us forget it and have our moment. Feel ourselves strong, get some confidence and forget the real life for some time. But then both these indie films, as they mentioned, it is coming up and people are welcoming. because this larger than like big budget films, it's really frustrating as me audience to wait for each of these movies. Like for Yash, I'm a huge fan of him, but he's taking so many years to come up with a movie like Toxic, KGF 3, still like years of it. But then for in that meantime, we are watching other films. There are no boundary between languages now, or even say like countries. We are watching so many movies. For that, that's when indie films comes in. So we want to see the character in depth. We want to have that slice of life too. Like we want to feel that character so deep. The characters or their arcs is. We want to feel both of.
We need
of
both
them.
categories of
Yeah.
films.
So I think both of them will definitely coexist.
Definitely.
And I think the audience perspective has to change a little bit here, because, like she said, the Great Indian Kitchen is a huge deal. But then most people wouldn't even know about it.
Yeah.
But then I think they have to like explore. For example, I would like to take Malayalam industry as an example. They make excellent craft, the performances, the storyline, the plot itself. It's amazing, and it has been amazing since a very long time. But people are now recognizing Malayalam film because of, I think, in our class especially, I've seen many people post about Avesham, and I've seen people with Illuminati in their stories and everything, and I think that's what attracts the audience, and I think they would be inclined towards Malayalam cinema now that I've seen already. I've recently watched this movie called Kishkinda Kandu. It's a very simple plot, but the way they showcased it, it's amazing. It's a very low budget movie, and the performances speak for itself. And yeah, I think the audience perspective has to change. They have to explore more into India as well. And big budget. Big budget is already there, but then indie films also deserve to be somewhere equal. So I think, yeah, audience perspective they have to explore different categories. Yeah.
They need to accept both where
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I add a point?
Definitely.
And I have also watched The Great Indian Kitchen. So when I was seeing that, I could see that frustration, that stress.
Relatability.
Very relatable. And when she comes out stronger in the movie, even we feel empowered. That's what indie movies does.
Yes.
The character takes us so deep within us. Even we have those elements in us. So it recognizes those emotions within us and makes us overwhelming or whatever.
And the goat life, for example, again, Malayalam, I'm a huge fan of Malayalam industry, don't mind. But then the goat life, it deserved much more than what it got. But then unfortunately, it couldn't do better because of whatever reasons. But then the way it was shot, I don't think anybody else can do that other than Prithvi Raj. And he has worked on the movie for almost 15 years. That is a huge deal. And the movie is a big budget movie, but it was shot in a very simple way. People found it boring, or I didn't understand, but then it didn't receive whatever it deserved. And yeah, people at the end of the day, it's their choice. But then
Definitely. This was insightful. Anything else you would like to
No,
add?
like I have no knowledge about the South industry, but like Arjun Reddy was Tamil, right? Telugu, yeah. So like first it released as like Arjun Reddy Telugu movie.
Then Kabir Singh.
Vijay Deverakonda. I'm a huge Vijay Deverakonda fan. And after that, it got released as Kabir Singh. So like many of them, it's a high budget movie. Many of them, they do not like that movie, but for some reason, me and a lot of friends of mine, we have like repeatedly watched that movie for God knows what reason. Maybe because of the songs. Like South industry, they have a really good music choices, I might say. So yeah, but when I listen to those songs or when I watch those visuals, I don't keep in mind that it's high budget or low budget.
Definitely.
Yeah, so
Very
that-
well spoken by each one of you, I must say. As it seems that both indie films and high budget films have their own place in future of cinema. With this, I would like to thank Spurti Menda, Megha M. Nadek, Abhirami Gurushankar and Medha Sarkar for joining us today in Focus episode 5. It was a delightful having you guys here with us with your valuable insights and experiences and thought-provoking insights on the topic. A big thanks to the audience for sticking around with us. As we conclude today's episode, I encourage you to drop in your perspectives in the discussed matter in the comment section. Share your thoughts, engage with others, and let's keep the filmy discussion going on. Until we meet again, thank you. Have a good day.